Oh gosh.
Okay.
Lots of potential.
All right. All right. There we go. It's about as good as I'm going to be able to get. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to today's meeting. I was thinking we could just go around and do introductions real quick. If anyone who doesn't want to be filmed, if you could just raise your hand, just so, because I usually also try and turn the camera towards whoever's speaking. So if you don't want to be filmed, just raise your hand, signal me. Okay, great. All right. So I was thinking we could start with some introductions real quick. So just like say your name, why you're here if you want, and then maybe like your favorite moment from this past week. So I can start. Let me turn the camera around so people can see me too. Oh, wait, okay, there we go. All right, hi everybody. I'm Jay Pandy, president of Duke Disability Alliance. My favorite moment from the past week, I would say, is going in yesterday, looking at our survey and seeing that 63 people have responded so far. Well, actually, I think that's as of last night. Anyway, I'm really excited about our survey, so if you haven't filled it out, if you could do that. We'll be sending out a link again after today's meeting. So yeah, all right. Do you want to go next? Okay, let's see if I can.
I'm Kristen Wainwright. I'm a fourth year PhD student, and I'm a member of GPSC, and I'm president of the Nursing Student Council. And I'm curious to learn about how to do like the virtual meetings, as well as keep track of things like voting virtually, because it's something I want us to do at GPSC, as well as at the school, at the nursing school. To help with accessibility and also just help with people with different schedules. So I'm coming just to learn and observe and see how you guys do your meetings.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Solomon. I'm the vice president of the Disability Alliance. My favorite moment was just finishing work on Thursday and going on classes on Friday, and so getting through the busy week and the hard week was just a delight and a treat and being able to just relax. It was very nice.
Hi everyone, I'm Matza. I'm a first year medical student, and I just am interested in the Accessibility Alliance and about how we can kind of foster an advocacy platform at the medical school. And I'm not even sure, I don't even know what the nursing school or PT program had, so just looking to kind of expand and learn more. And my favorite part of this week, it's been a blur, but I went to Pompieri Pizza last night, and apparently yesterday was also National Pizza Day, so I found that out separately, and was excited that worked out.
I'm Tatiana. I'm a junior. I'm here representing Melanie to the National Lives and Mental Illness on campus. My favorite moment this week for the class night was really nice. I stayed in and did work, but also hung out with my friends. It was a nice study break. We would talk for a while and do homework. So it was a chill night, but also walking up to Friday we would have it just slept on.
I'm Hannah. I'm in the Ready 101 class for disabilities. So I'm here to get a little bit more understanding about how to create a video for accessibility. And just to understand a little bit more about Duke Disability Alliance. My favorite time this week was probably Tuesday, because I didn't really have any classes, so I was able to go to the Duke Gardens to take a stroll. It was nice weather today.
Great, awesome. All right, so I think that's everything. So let's see. Kevin, can you pull up the agenda? Would you mind taking notes?
Yeah.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, so.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm not sure, when you say you're sending out the links, is that through email or Facebook?
Yeah, it's through email. So if you're on our listserv, you should have received it. Okay. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so any links that we have that we individually are on.
Yeah, we've been quite honestly, we've been struggling a little bit with communication recently. I think everyone's been really busy, so we haven't been able to send out recap emails and such like. So we're working on it, trying to figure out a solution. But Anyway, right. So thanks for coming, Tatiana. I think we can start with you. I know you said you had some ideas for ways we could collaborate with NAMI. So.
So our mental health awareness month programming is happening in March. And we have a student who is a PhD student, and he wants to host an event for neurodiverse or neurodiverse students. And I think the vision for the event was a panel where students who are identified as a minority could come and speak about their experience with mental health and illness. So the one thing that we have trouble with figuring out is who would participate in the panel and how we can get students to participate. Ideally, I know that he would be willing to participate, but that's one person, so I wasn't sure if you guys were able to help us find people or help us find a better vision for the event. I don't know what kinds of ideas you might have.
Right. So as far as having a network of people, that's something that has frustrated me, I think, definitely. And so we don't really have that. And I think, I mean, even off the top of my own head, like not even considering like DDA as an organization, I can't even think of anyone myself that I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at getting community members to come. I mean, I think you would be able to draw on more people. Then you could talk to the ARC of Orange County, the ARC of North Carolina, perhaps Maxim Healthcare. Let's see, Carolina Center for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. I don't really know what that, it's called the CIDD, it's part of UNC. You can look them up. Yeah, but I mean, as far as like getting people to talk to, I really can't help you any more than that.
I was gonna say, you could reach out to Dr. White. He is really involved in just neuroscience in general. There's like a neuroscience institute, but we just finished our like neuro block, and we had a couple-day lecture on neurodiversity. On neuro, which I think is like that. So he might be a good person to, like, if you wanted to speak on it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's LEO and ART White. And I'm sure you researched on White neuro.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then other than that, like I'll keep you guys updated if you wanna call me again and help us or come to the event.
Do you have an idea of when it's gonna be?
Yeah, when it's gonna be?
Yeah.
So we're thinking end of March.
Right. Yeah. So usually we have a Disability Pride Week, which is, I think this year it's gonna be March 26th through the 31st. So we have our big event on the 31st, and I think other than that, we don't really have anything. So yeah, we could do it like that week, and then also include it in our like flyers and stuff for Disability Pride Week.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll contact these folks and see if they can help, because I think the first step would be trying to find people that would be able to speak.
Right.
I think Andrew, the one that wants to plan the event, his vision is having so many people who identify in their market to speak. Not like an expert that would speak on behalf of them. That's like his vision. But
Right.
I'm sure Dr. would be like a helpful person.
It's not navigate. I'm not even sure.
Yeah. Exactly. That's kind of what okay. Cool.
I mean, I know people like in the Triangle area, I think that would identify as neurodiverse. But so yeah, I think if you draw on like the Durham community, the Triangle community, you should be more successful. But yeah. Yeah, keep us updated. Yeah, we'd love to help out. Right. Okay, great. Let's see. What was the next thing on the agenda? Was it the
performance event updates?
Right.
1 minute.
So we can. Are you gonna be around after 12, or do you need to?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe if we just push that to the end, because we have so many people here, I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak.
So then the Minority Rights Coalition events.
Right. So yeah, I was actually expecting that more of exec would be here.
Yeah.
I think.
So we can also talk about that later. So I sent out the email.
Yeah.
Basically, for anybody who's watching the live stream, we just have this email that has a bunch of when to meets that we need to fill out so that we can start going out to those events.
Let's see.
I think we can talk about those more specifically afterwards. So if you want to skip after that is HR 620, and then the young trustee candidate discussion.
All right. Yeah. So we can. So HR 620. So I mean, I've been really busy this past week, so I haven't been able to do a ton of research. But basically, there's this bill called HR 620, which that I think is being voted on in the House early next week. And it's what it does is it basically guts the ADA of like the most effective parts of the law, as I understand it. And it's weird because the ADA was originally passed by Republicans in a Republican administration. So anyway, what it does is it basically allows businesses who are like working on compliance in terms of accessibility to get more than 180 days to be compliant. And it basically, I mean, effectively, it makes it so that businesses don't have to comply. Like it makes the process so flexible that basically like no business ever truly has to comply with the accessibility guidelines that are in or laws that are in the ADA. So I think losing track of the camera here.
Can you hear me?
So yeah, it is not looking good for people with disabilities. And so I think we're definitely going to be posting about it. I know if any of you know Cookies Robledo, she graduated last May. She's putting out a lot of material about it. So we will be sharing all of that with you. But basically, if you call your representatives in Congress and tell them not to vote for this bill, that would be great because people say that like disability is like the largest minority in a sense, and it's I think one important perspective is that like anyone can become disabled at any point in time. Like if you break your leg, if you have like a baby in a stroller that you need to worry about, then like things like ramps are gonna come in handy. And so it doesn't just affect the people that like people in wheelchairs or like the people that have what I guess people think of as special needs. It affects everybody. So I think that's why we all definitely need to care about this and show our displeasure, certainly.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hold on. Hey, Ashley.
Oh gosh, it's working. Okay, sorry.
Hi. Sorry, yeah, I had my computer muted, so sorry about that. Did you have anything to add?
Yes, I'm a little embarrassed. I wanted to come to the meeting today, but I got really mad about HR 620, and I've been sitting here writing about it this morning and lost track of time. So I am participating remotely today. But I think you did a great summary of the core like issue of 6R20 or HR 620. And on top of that, I think what's especially threatening is that it puts the burden of policing and enforcing rights upon the individual. And that's, I mean, from a history teacher's perspective, this is a huge reversal that so many generations of activists have been working against for a long time, is to get us from an individual sort of charity model of disability where it's a personal problem that an individual has to bear the burden of, to being recognized as a legitimate rights issue. And I think that's something that's, I don't know, I'm clearly like not there just because I'm embroiled in anger and far too many thoughts about what's going on.
I certainly understand.
I found some helpful fact sheets, like really succinct summaries of the arguments in favor of 620 and against from the ACLU and the National Disability Rights Network. So I can help provide some snappy information that's helpful for presenting the issue and talking with legislators. And if I come up with something coherent from my morning of writing, then I'd love to share it as well.
Right, thank you. So Ashley, I'm sure you maybe know better than I. It's being voted on in the House. Do we know which day that's going to be?
I don't know. I'm going to look that up, actually. Yes, because there is a very short time frame in which we have to act.
Yes. I mean, I know there's like Facebook profile pictures going around. Like there's that hashtag hands off my ADA. And I know Cookies has like there's like Rooted in Rights has like a whole almost like a photo campaign. Like you can write like why like you like how the ADA has helped you, and then basically show why it is needs to be the way it is now.
Yes,
so.
And I think another angle, I think there are a lot of angles that you can use to tackle this issue. And that's smart because we kind of learned about this with the Matt Hare event about trying to reach across a political spectrum and persuade people. Part of it is coming up with a multitude of different types of arguments because people from different backgrounds will respond, variously. And so it's helpful to look at the variety of different arguments out there, whether it's rights focused or it's focused on finances or business rights and so on. And that is very helpful. So that might be and then part of that tactic is providing the individual stories to put, a real human tangible face on it. And another part of that, I think, might be providing imagery of just how hard activists fought to produce the ADA, like 30 years after similar civil rights legislation for other oppressed minorities. And there's fabulous imagery photography from this era of activism that I will dredge up. I'm not sure what to do with it, but it is one potential tactic against HR 620.
Right. Yeah, I mean, disability used to be this bipartisan thing.
Yeah.
And now it's not anymore. It's really sad. But yeah, I mean, sorry?
I'm looking for an updated date for the vote, and it's not clearly coming up. Just that it's in the coming week.
I think it's early next week. Yeah.
Oh, the week of February 12th.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, DDA will be on the lookout for new information, and we'll be sending that out certainly. So stay tuned. All right, I guess we can move on unless there's anything else to add. All right, let's see. What was the next thing on the agenda?
Is Maddie there right now?
Yeah. Is Matt? She might be able to join us soon.
Okay, I just asked because she's in the history of disability class, so I'm just curious her take on it. That's all.
Next thing on the agenda is the young trustee discussion. So here's the thing. I don't really know how endorsements work here. I think it's just like, you just say you're endorsing someone and you say why and that's it. I mean, like, okay, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, last week we heard from Bryce Cracknell and Amy Kramer. I think Amy was certainly able to give more specific descriptions of the issues she sees on campus. And I think while young trustees can't have a platform, it's definitely good for them to know like what issues people face. So I definitely liked her presentation last meeting. We also received an email from Liz Brown which, and this is, let me see if I can pull it up.
It's interesting to me that undergraduates do their trustees very differently than graduates. With endorsements and like almost campaigning.
Yeah.
When graduate students, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
We can have like rules of like if you start campaigning at a certain date, you lose votes and not undergrads, but for.
Undergrads, yeah.
It's like.
We have an application and interview, and then we do a speech, which I might have to get. But it's nothing like the undergraduate one. I'm not sure what the young trust or what the actual like board of trustees like opinion is on the different styles. But it's just interesting that they're so different. Because like my family's like, why isn't your profile online? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't do that.
And all of the undergrads can vote. And then the graduate.
It's the General Assembly. So that might be part of why the difference is there.
That's probably.
Yeah, so let me see here, right? So we basically asked everyone 2 questions. What have you done today to advocate for disability issues and help students with disabilities? And then also like what barriers do you see in campus life for students with disabilities and what needs to change to increase access and inclusion? She understands that people face employment discrimination because of their disability status, because she works with the Community Empowerment Fund and Durham Can. That access to polling places, she understands that that impacts people with disabilities disproportionately. Let's see. And she's engaged directly in decisions about where to place polling places on campus, and she understands the need for access. And she is involved in DSG, so she was she's involved in like restricting SFC or like restricting SFC funded, like basically making sure that the accessibility guidelines that we actually sent to Luke Farrell a while ago are implemented and are made mandatory for SFC funded events. Right. And then also with languages, she also mentioned that. So that's good. So one thing she said that I really liked is that she acknowledged the lack of staff in SDAO and how that should be more of a priority, definitely. And basically also how our campus is not accessible. Okay, it's fine. And also she recognizes that not like invisible disabilities are like a big challenge on campus because it's not a conversation that people are comfortable having. So we kind of need to change the campus climate. And also she wants the university to stop being reactionary in regard to disability issues. So I think she definitely, and then we never heard back from Chinmay Pundit. I'm pretty sure I sent him another email saying I wanted responses via email. But anyway, so if we do want to make an endorsement, we have to decide between Amy Kramer and Liz Brown. And what?
And also Brennan.
Yeah. Yeah, him too. I mean, I think from my perspective, Amy Kramer and Liz Brown are definitely our top 2 candidates. I don't. Do you remember what Bryce Cracknell had highlighted in his? Oh no, because you weren't there, right?
So I think,
let's see.
Just to give guidance to all of this, I think it's important for us to have what criteria are we using to choose which person, and then also what do we see PDA's role in endorsing these people? I don't think we're gonna have a huge impact, but it will get their
Right.
name out a little bit more. So it's like
Yeah.
a question of how do we want to go about endorsing these people and what do we want to highlight
Yeah.
on them? Like if we put out a little post that says, we support this person because this person is committed to disability issues, like, is that what we want to go for? Is that the criteria we're looking at, or are we like adhering to what people are saying that you shouldn't have a platform and it should just be about like ability to reflect the undergraduate experience?
Right. Yeah, I think at least from my perspective, I mean, even if the trustees can't make promises that any of the stuff that they talk about or is actually gonna get done, it's like when things come up like, hey, we're remodeling Rubenstein, and Rubenstein is right next to the languages building. Hey, why don't you tear down that wall and make an accessible entry point into languages? It's like stuff like that where they can have an impact then. So I'm sure, and I hope that if anyone had mentioned it, they would have acted on it. But I think too often it's the fact that no one thinks about those kinds of things. So also I know as an exec board, we're very busy with our performance event that we're doing at the end of March. And so I also want to try and figure out how much we can do, like basically who's going to write a post. Like, do we need to post in a variety of places, or do we only have time to like do like one thing?
I mean, the election's in a few days.
Yeah, do we want to endorse at all? Do we want to just like, is it worth it or not?
I mean, the thing is, if we don't endorse at this point, it's like, why did all these people come? Other than to get like
Right.
a few votes because they talked to a few people.
Right.
So I think
So-
they came explicitly with the intention and thought that we would endorse whomever we thought best. Right, so then like
Yeah.
inherently by not endorsing, it's like, why did they come?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a good point. So I think the question then is, who do we pick? Anyone have any thoughts on the merits? I think specifically undergrads.
I can speak. Well, Amy came to speak to NAMI, so NAMI decided not to endorse anyone just because we had Chime and Amy come speak and we didn't hear from anyone else. So it was kind of like, we didn't feel comfortable like endorsing a candidate if we only spoke to two of them. But Amy, I know, without explicitly like us asking her, she definitely like spoke to accessibility issues and her having like experience with that. So I feel like that sets her apart from the other candidates, whereas like, you know, the other candidates are gonna try to appeal to the organization they're speaking to. So if they're going to say those things, and like may not, like if they don't have a lot of experience, I feel like they might like hinder them in the sense that they might not like verbally express like these kinds of issues that you're talking about, like thinking of accessibility first, thinking about like, you know, you know. So I feel like having a lived experience that's really important to the other candidates, that's just like what I noticed. She definitely spoke to disability rights and advocated for like those issues on campus. But I didn't speak to this, so I
Yeah, she did send us her stump video too, which I think was pretty good. Liz Brown did. I don't know if anyone else has seen that video or not. I think exec got it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, so it's funny, I'm on the Young Trustee screen and you go to graduate stuff. And so I think what you said is spot on in the sense of you don't want to like, obviously like the Young Trustee is kind of a platform that they can really act on. But I think it is important like for you to consider what you've heard from the candidates in the sense of like, even something like invisible disabilities, like making sure people are not only like aware of these things and saying them, but are comfortable in the setting of a meeting to like say that. It's one thing to like know these things, but it's another thing to be able to sit at a meeting at a table with all these people and say that. And I also think it is really important to have your endorsement out there. I think you are a really important, powerful undergraduate group that I know like some med students have been like, wow, like we can't even get our stuff together, but you know, Disability Alliance is, I don't know, I just think like we definitely, in my opinion, you should have an endorsement, and I think that would really help.
So I'm not opposed to endorsing more than one candidate, right? I don't think it's like, if we say we thought Liz Brown and we thought Amy were both phenomenal candidates and said a lot of great things that were related to disability issues, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be one specific person.
Right. Yeah, I think we could go ahead and do both. And then there was, I mean, we heard from Bryce as well. Is there any, because I mean, you weren't there, so I guess. Wait, were you there, DP? Did you? I think, okay, yeah, because that was at the beginning of the last meeting.
So this is tricky because it's mostly you who.
Yeah, so I think what he did, what I remember him saying was that he's an RA. So his residents, some of his residents have to deal with disability issues. So he said that he has personally helped them. And I think he's a big voice for minority groups in the sense of like getting more representation in general. But I think in terms of specific issues facing the community, I think he was probably one of the least specific of the three that we heard from. I mean, basically, like the campus access is an issue pretty much anyone can name, but like things like the languages building specifically, and also this invisible disabilities thing. Those are things that you have to you have to have been thinking about it in order to realize that those issues exist. Yeah. So, yes, I think we can go ahead and endorse both of them then. They both were, like I said, very specific, and I think that they will definitely be a voice for students with disabilities, regardless of which of them is on the board. Yeah, so I think.
So are people comfortable and okay with it endorsing more than one person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost think it's more fair.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because last year the only one who came to talk to us was Uzo.
Right.
So I think, well, I don't know if we actually endorsed anybody, but like that was easy. That was an easy choice to make. But
the only thing is, are we gonna upset Bryce? But like out of the three, we only endorse these two.
I mean, like you can't there has to be some like practicality. Like we don't endorse people just because they come talk to us.
Right.
We endorse people because we think they're going to be good for our interests on the board. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What else was on there? Is that?
That's it.
Okay, great. So let's see who else we have here. So we have you said your name was Hannah. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Right. So you said you were looking for you were trying to make a video, right?
Yeah, so I for our class we're doing it's an activism project, so I chose to do the accessibility video, and I'm focusing it on classroom accommodations and accessible pedagogy. So I don't know, I just feel like I need to get some the first person who does interview, someone who has experience maybe not having all the accommodations they want in class here. So.
Right. I think if you expand it to basically anyone who's getting accommodations, that is somewhat of an easier task than looking for someone with a specific disability. Yeah, it's always hard to get people to talk about these issues. I mean, because I think in a sense it's like biting the hand that feeds you, like whatever you are, like you don't want to antagonize the people that in a sense hold your academic success in their hands. And I think that in some senses that's just perhaps more of a psychological reaction. But yeah, I think it is difficult to get people to open up about these sorts of things. Yeah, I mean, even for me, it's certainly more easy. It's certainly easier for me to talk generally about the issues that I see than like more personal issues. let me think. I mean, we can certainly help you find people. I just, like, there was a guy last semester who wanted to find people to follow around on campus. And he was doing some sort of project about like access on campus. So I think kind of maybe somewhat similar to what you're trying to do, but he wasn't able to find anyone, and I don't even know what happened to his project. It was like 3 days before, and he was frantically trying to find somebody. So I think again, if you, I mean, it's certainly more powerful to find people at Duke who have issues. Like Duke specific issues they're dealing with. But again, if you want to expand your project and look in the community, it might be easier to find people who are willing to talk. Because even like, I mean, I'm sure sadly the city of Durham is not a perfect place for people with disabilities, and you'd be able to find plenty of stories in the Durham community as well.
Would you want them to be on camera?
Oh,
Or is there options for an anonymity?
no, but like the main thing is just like this project to be focused on accessibility on campus. So going to the Durham community might not help because I don't think that most of the college students.
Right. And I think I mean, you do have community members that come to Duke and use Duke's facilities, I think. So that is a potential angle to look at. Again, yeah, we can certainly help you try and find people. Yeah, if you just want to send us like a kind of blurb or like a description of your project, we can send that out. Certainly. Have you tried contacting Lee Fickling at the Student Disability Access Office? Well, actually, she's DMS, Disability Management Services, but there's Lee Fickling, there's Dot Mishu, who's the director of the Student Disability Access Office, and contact them. Are there any resources in the grad school that might help Hannah find people?
Those are the same resources we have. That's the students.
Okay.
And then there's typically within schools, you'll have someone who's like the disability representative, like at the administrative level, who's like the liaison between the school and some of these offices and resources. So depending, like for the School of Nursing, I know who that is, but it might depend, like, it might help you find people more specific. I don't know what their confidentiality agreements are with their students. Like if they would send an email, like generally, and see if there's responses or something like that. But it might give you a way to send out something like more generally to like a small group instead of hoping their response, you know what I mean? And I can talk to you a little bit more just depending on what it is that you're looking for. There might be people I can work with you too. But they're going to be graduate students too, and I don't know if you want and then the potential for anonymity as far as like what your project is involving. Because people might be comfortable talking about it, but they might not want to say like who they are. Just because. But,
Yeah, I think the anonymity would probably help. Ashley, do you have any ideas from the faculty side?
Sorry, I was struggling with my microphone. Can you hear me now?
Yep, yeah.
Finding a liaison for graduate students is the issue that we're talking about right now, right?
Yeah, I think that, and then just generally, I think Hannah's just trying to figure out ways to find people for her project. So I didn't know, like, from the faculty side, like, is there a good way for her to connect with faculty, perhaps? Is that something you'd be interested?
Yeah. So there's the network of the Disability and Access Initiative, which is the first working group for faculty interested in disability studies and access in higher education. And so collectively, we at least have a starting point of, our student listservs and the various networks that each of us is plugged into. And so whenever there's something that we need help with as faculty, we rely on each other to publicize each other's requests and projects. So reaching out to me and Marion is a way to plug into that. What else?
And if you forward, Hannah, if you forward your description to Executive Disability Alliance at duke.edu, so that Disability Alliance at duke.edu will reach all of exec, including Ashley and Marion.
Yes. And then certain groups have been helpful for just reaching a broad audience. The kind of administration or organization of Duke can be surprisingly diffuse and uncentralized at times when you're trying to put out a broad call. And so sometimes putting out something through GPSC is helpful, or through the graduate student union efforts, since they are particularly in tune to various forms of inequality. They may have helpful contacts. And then, I don't know, there are various administrators who are open to, they are also concerned that there isn't a very centralized access point for disability in general at Duke, DDA being one of those, which is a fantastic service that this club provides, even when you're not actively trying to do that, is to be a starting point. And so I've noticed that, like in the Career Center and in the professional development part of the graduate school, they are keen to learn who that they should get in touch with to have a more centralized conversation about disability issues. That's just something to think about for the future. It's probably not helpful for Hannah right now. But I think the question is a good one, because if we have to keep coming back to it and answering it, that indicates a need at Duke.
Yeah, I think certainly it does. Yeah, I feel bad for all the people who we're not able to help, not enough. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I think if you just send it out to everyone, and again, you may want to look at expanding your project a little bit if possible. But yeah, we will try and help you in any way we can. All right, great. Let's see, 11:49. So let's see. I think was there anything else that we had to talk about? I think Masa, did you have?
I don't have any specific like agenda items or anything, but I guess some of the impetus for coming and wanting to get a little more involved. So at the medical school this year for first years, there's like a course that's becoming called Holy Determinants of Health Disparities. And so each session that we have is geared towards a certain social issue or something that falls under that category. So I know we're having a session on rights for people with disabilities. And so myself and another student met with a separate professor who's leading that session, and we were just curious, well, so what are you going to be addressing in 3 hours? And so just kind of having this conversation about where people's, whether this isn't the right word, but just understanding of the disabilities community and like how to talk about it with like proper terminology. So kind of fundamental basic level of sharing with students how to treat patients with so it's a very specific session that's geared for that, and it just kind of made me think like we do have like many groups at the school, like for, you know, social justice and these things, but we really don't have any kind of advocacy platform for this community, and we interact like so much with various groups. And so I don't know, I guess for me, I don't have any like requests or tangible, I guess, but kind of wanted to hear from you all in terms of where do you see like graduate community and like medical school or other groups. I just, again, talking to the centralization point, to me, it's just silly that like, it seems so disparate. Like how like there's not really a centralized, or like when I wanted to learn about this, I had no idea who to go to, who to ask.
Right.
And I don't know if you have any thoughts on like whether you would want to, whether DEA would like to be kind of a larger umbrella, university-wide thing where we have like a nursing school route that comes to this meeting, or a med school route that comes, or if like having separate chapters makes more sense.
Right.
I don't know. I just, like, it seems, especially with this HR 620 thing, I'm like, there's no reason why like our social justice group should not be making calls, because we've done that before for other bills. But instead of it just being like me telling them, there are many people that would be interested in, I think, being a part of this. So I don't know, just I know this is like a way bigger kind of question, but where do you see that fitting in, or I don't know.
Yeah, right. So I think for funding purposes, I think we are primarily an undergraduate organization. I mean, of course, we welcome dialogue from graduate students. We have graduate students on our listserv. I'm not really sure. I don't know enough about Duke's bureaucracy to know if we have to reclassify ourselves in order to like officially accept graduate student members. And actually, I don't know if you know anything about this. But
We had a graduate student member in the past. And I am a faculty member at this point. I'm not formally serving in the advisor capacity. My understanding is that, you know, I don't vote in the same way that a member would.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose the difference would be like our exec board is made up entirely of undergraduates. So I mean, I guess that's the thing that's where the distinction may be made, is that I don't know if we can have graduate students on the exec board, which I think if we were trying to be an organization that represented the entire Duke community, we would want to have that be an option. Yeah, I just don't know if that would create difficulties for us in getting funding and being recognized by all the undergraduate bodies that help support student organizations.
The other side is whether it would potentially open up funding from another direction, from the grad and professional schools.
Yeah.
But I understand the concerns. It sounds like it's worth some research into it.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to see when we can get that done. I think like February is one of the busiest times of this semester. People like for the first midterms are coming up and everything. So
I guess my first thought is whether, does anyone know of a similar group that has more of a distribution of undergrad and graduate engagement?
I think committees, like other than like university committees, like the student health advisory, where there are people from different, but they're not student.
Yeah, and they don't get funding to hold events and stuff.
Yeah.
So you get funding from both undergraduate and graduate programs.
That is a good point.
But I think like separate from like the funding and the voting things, just to me, it's like, you know, if you have all these people interested in like promoting the same issues, raising the same voices, I'm like, you know, there should be connection, like someone should be webbing them together. And so for me, like I do think that there should, like, if like 15 other students want to be involved with this, we should be meeting on our own time, whatever, but then one of us should be coming to this meeting to make sure we're able to connect and not be reinventing the wheel 16 times.
Right. Yeah. Then I think we would certainly welcome that. Like, I think the only thing is like, officially, I guess I don't really know how much that matters. As in terms of having official, like, because effectively, like Ashley was saying, we have faculty members, we have graduate student members, but yeah, when we like, at least for the purposes of, I think, like SFC and UCAE, I think we're an undergraduate group.
Point of clarification, Hannah, could you remind me which school you're from? I'm having trouble with the audio today.
I'm from the School of Nursing.
Okay.
Student.
Okay. The DAI has some members. This is the faculty working group. It has some members coming from, I think maybe one from the nursing school, but definitely from the medical school.
So, accessibility initiative, is that what it was? Disability access. It's a faculty initiative with disability.
Anyway, I just wanted to see whether there might be a faculty who's precisely in your school. But if you can get in touch via email, then we could share all of the participants or all of the faculty who have expressed interest in these types of issues, and that hopefully would open up some more doors.
So that's for me to email you?
Yeah, and I'll put, what's the best way to do that? Actually, if you just email the DDA, it'll come to 2 of the faculty conveners of the faculty working group. And there's, I think, 1 or 2 graduate students in it as well.
Great. Let's see. So I guess real quick, I just wanted to talk again about the accessibility survey. I know we don't have the HDMI thing plugged in. That's fine. I might be able to get it set up if you're able to stay and you want to see what the survey looks like. We've also been sending it out pretty regularly, and we'll be sending it out again in our next recap email. Let me at least share it with the people who are on the Hangout. It's called Accessibility at Duke, the survey. It's a Google form. It looks long, but I don't think it's that long, and it's pretty much voluntary, like how much everyone wants to share. And it's completely anonymous, so no worries there. And we've been getting a lot of great feedback. Let me just share it. Right, so everyone, I think, so it looks kind of like this, what's your role at Duke, basically, what, basically trying to also give this question about basically how you're I guess what you identify as, and basically to kind of get a sense of how people with different identities are impacted by barriers to campus life. Because I think this survey, we've tried in this survey to go beyond accessibility and talk in general about what barriers do people see, because I mean it's access in kind of a less tangible sense. But yeah, so you've got physical accessibility, talking about learning needs, access to healthcare, parking and transportation, dining, residential life, recreational facilities, and a social life. And then we also, one question that I'd really like to draw attention to is we're trying to see if we can, this is a super long-term goal, to have some sort of center for disability and diversity, basically a student center for students with disabilities that it's not necessarily to provide accommodations, but to provide a space where people can kind of come to terms with disability issues and kind of have the support they need. It's kind of like I would envision it as kind of like the CSGD or the Mary Lou Williams Center, but for students with disabilities specifically. And I think also a big thing is, at least from my perspective, having a staff whose job it is to do the kinds of advocacy things that have kind of fallen to us. Because I mean, we're students, and we often don't have as much time as we'd like to get the word out about things. But yeah, so that's definitely something we did want to get feedback on in the survey. But yeah, we have been getting a lot of great feedback about access issues on campus, and how people with disabilities feel about the campus climate and everything. So yeah, if you haven't already filled out the survey and you have like a 10 or 15 minutes, that'd be great to have your feedback as well. All right, I think that's pretty much everything that's not solely for exec. Is there anything else anyone wanted to add before we end the broadcast?
Here's the survey.
So we've just been sending out a link via our listserv. It was also just sent out via the DSG blast to all undergraduates. Beyond that, I don't know how much advertising Marion has done. Marion, our faculty advisor, I don't know how much advertising she's done in terms of getting that to like graduate groups and faculty. But I know we have had some other faculty fill it out. So yeah, we'll be sending that out now. If anyone here is able to send that out to their groups as well, we definitely appreciate that, because we definitely want to get as much feedback as possible. Because this data is going to inform like what issues we want to pursue, and then also give us data to back up like when we go, and if we're talking to the administration about a center for disability and diversity, we can say like X many people support it, and here's what they think this center should look like. And so it's really important for us to have that community feedback from the community. And it extends to undergraduates, graduates, faculty, staff, and community members as well. So anyone who interacts with UC at all can fill out the survey.
Can it be sent out in the GPSC newsletter?
Oh, certainly, yes. That would be great. Yeah, I can send that to you if you're able to.
Because I can forward it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right then. Yeah, I guess if there's nothing else, we can go ahead and end the broadcast for today. Thank you all so much for coming, and sorry for the delay again with the technology at the beginning. Next week we will have that all set. So, all right, thanks, and have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you.